Hello folks, it's David Connolly here, the web developer extraordinaire. In this video, I'd like to teach you everything that you need to know about supermodules and submodules. In my opinion, this is quite possibly the most important feature of the Trongate framework. It's certainly a unique feature, and if you have any plans on ever adding modules to our module market here, then the information in this video is absolutely mission critical. This could be the most important Trongate tutorial that you ever watch. Now I'm going to go as fast as I can. I know that it's about 20 or 30 minutes this video, but if you hang tough, you only have to go through this once, and I promise by the end of this video you're going to be an expert and you're probably going to be amazed. I love this feature. I think you're going to love it too. So let's start this one off by opening up the Trongate desktop app. I'll have a little reset here, and I'm going to create a new app, and I'm going to call this one Great Bands, whatever, anything you want. But I'll call it Great Bands, and it's going to have bands on it, you know, like the Beatles and all of that. So I'm going to generate this, and here is our new app. I'm now going to go into my text editor and I'm going to open up our new app. You can see that I had a sneaky little practice run. By the way, when I do these tutorials, I never have notes, but I do little practice runs, you know. So anyway, here we are. This is our framework. There's all of the modules that you get, and everything is kind of normal. So we're going to go back into the desktop app. I'm going to create a new module, new Trongate module, and I'll call it Band. That's the singular. So we can have manage bands. I'm not going to bother with an icon, but let's add some properties. I'm going to have band name. I'm going to have a date field with date formed, and I'll have a boolean with active. Is the band still active? Let's hit submit, okay? Now I'm not going to bother with a URL column, and I'll order by band name ascending. Here we go. So that's us. If you look on the top left, you'll see that it has created a bands module. There it is. And now I'm just going to view that module. And very quickly, I'm going to add a few band records. Now, I have the benefit of autocomplete here because I had a practice run. So I'm going to do this super quick. You may need to pause the video here, but let me just quickly say the Beatles formed whenever. Let's say I'll have Queen. Now, by the way, with these dates, you can actually type in a date. So that would be something like 1973. And I'll have AC/DC, let's say. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. They are active. So I'll hit submit. Alright, so I've got 3 band records. And I hope that wasn't too fast for you. Just an ordinary module, right? So now I'm going to go into the text editor and I'm going to manually create another module. It's going to be a module for band members. So I'm going to have a new folder called band members, and I'm doing this manually because I really want you to see the code and feel the code, you know. So inside band members, I'm going to have a new folder called controllers and another new folder called views. It's an ordinary module. Inside controllers, we're going to have bandmembers.php with an uppercase B. And I'm going to just quickly create a controller file. So class bandmembers extends Trongate. And I'm going to have a little method called fetch members. I'll build up a members array. I'll just say John Lennon. I'll just do this manually like this, okay? So we'll have John Lennon. Let's have Freddie Mercury. And let's have one more. I'll just say Brian May. Now I'm not doing anything with this, it's just a demonstration. So let me return the members. Now I'm going to make another little method. I'm going to call this one display members. And what it's going to do is it's going to say members is this, fetch members, and then JSON members. That's all we're going to do, okay? It's a perfectly ordinary module. There's nothing new here. So let's save it. And let's now go to band_members/display members. And we get that. Okay, so no surprises. It's just an ordinary thing. Now, how would you display this inside a template? Just an ordinary module. Well, we could say data members is all of that. We could say data view module is band members. We could say data view file equals, now we don't have a view file yet, but we can make one. Maybe we'll call it display members. And then finally, we could say, let's load up a template. I think I'll load up the public template. Now remember, Trongate has two templates that come out of the box, public and admin. So I'm going to load up public and I'm going to pass in data. Obviously the public template is just a starter template. Now let's go into the views folder. We're going to make a new file called display members.php, and I'm going to have an h1 that's going to just say band members. Then I'll have a list like this, and I'll have names in here. So I'm going to go into PHP and say for each members as member. Okay, so we'll do that. And I'll close this thing off down here. And I'm going to echo a little li with member and a closing li. Okay, and I'll save that. Again, I apologize if I'm going fast here, but there's nothing here that should be too surprising if you're familiar with this framework. So if we now refresh, well, now you can see we've got a list of band members here. And it's inside a template and everything is normal. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take you to the Trongate framework documentation. And we do have a section called super modules and submodules. I know that documentation is a downer, but this documentation is okay. Because I'm the guy who wrote this. And I'm going to walk you through all of this stuff. And by the end of this, you're going to be an expert. Let's go through this together, okay? So the first thing is, what are supermodules and submodules? Well, you already know the answer. So imagine, for example, that you've decided you're going to build a discussion forum or something, or an invoicing system or anything. You can have the entire thing inside one module. So it's a module that contains other modules. That's what a supermodule is, okay? So before we get into this, the very first thing that we need to do is go to our Finder. So if I just, let's see, oh gee, I'm all mixed up here. Here we go. So I'm going to open up a couple of Finder windows. And I'll invite you to do this with me. I want you to open up the location for your app on both windows. Now, this app is called Great Bands. There it is. So Great Bands, both windows exactly the same. I'm going to go into, let's see, modules for both of them. Now keep in mind, this and this are exactly the same. It's just the modules folder. But what I'm going to do is, on the right hand side, I'm going to go into the bands module. And then I'm going to click on band members here and drag it across. And I'm literally going to just drop it inside bands. There you go. So, let me just close the files, because this could cause challenges if we don't. They're now technically missing files, remember, because we moved it across. And now if you look at modules, you'll see that band members has gone. But now, we've literally just dropped band members inside bands. So, obviously, if I refresh this, we're going to get a red 404 not found page. That's no surprise, because we literally moved the entire module across. So now I'm going to have a look at these docs here, and I'm going to walk you through this and show you how we can access the display members page. So you can see the structure if you look right here. In this example, we're talking about a parent module called cars and a child module called accessories. So all we have to do is chuck in the name of the parent module, then a hyphen, and then the name of the submodule with a / followed by the method. For example, with our URL here, I'm going to just say bands hyphen and then band members / display members. And if we hit return, there we go. Now it did not load the view file. We'll come on to that in a minute. But the key takeaway is that if I go into band members, display members, let me just say echo h1. This is a submodule and it works. And I'll maybe do a little dice statement here. And can you see how we have successfully called a submodule from the URL, and all we had to do was add in the name of the parent module, then the name of the child module / method and all of that stuff. But of course, in our case, we want to do something a little bit more fancy than this. We want to load up a template. So let me take you to the next page of the documentation, and I'm going to show you exactly how this works. It's this section, loading view files from within submodules. So we are within a submodule. We know that from the URL. And there's two ways that we can load view files from within submodules. The first way is to have the view file loaded inside a template. Now that's exactly what we're trying to do here. So it's really just a two-step process. We declare a view module property, and we make sure that the view module contains the name of the parent module followed by a /. Then we declare a view file, and that's pretty much it. And we have a little example here. So let me just show you how this might work. If we look at our view module here, we know that our view module is actually inside bands. So I'm going to say bands / band members, save it. Then I'm going to go back to this page here, have a refresh, and there you go. So the template is now working, everything is beautiful, and the only thing we had to do was add in the parent module and a / here. Now that's one way of displaying a view file, such as display members. I'm going to comment this out, and I'm going to show you another method. So I'm going to say function display members. I'm going to echo hi. Okay, so we do have a gig. And now I want to show you how to load a view file without loading a template. Again, it's all in here in the documentations. I'm just going to walk you through it, okay? So normally, of course, we would say data members is this, fetch members, and normally we would say this, view, and then you'd say something like display members, pass in the data. That's how we normally load a view file without a template, mind you. But in the case of a submodule, the following 3 steps should be followed. At the top of your controller file within the submodule, declare a parent and a child module inside a constructor method. Don't worry if I've lost you there, it's totally fine. I'm going to just demonstrate this right now, in fact. Now I have a wee bit of code here, I'm just going to copy it from the documentation and I'm going to paste it inside the class, but right at the top of this thing. And as you can see, it says function _construct. And we've got a few lines. Now I'm going to explain this one in a minute. Just ignore parent construct. In fact, I'll comment it out. Just forget that that's even there, okay? But what we're doing is we are saying this parent module is, now for us it's not going to be PayPal, it's called bands. And the child module is going to be band members. Okay? So the parent module is bands, the child module is band members. Right, so that's step 1. Now back to the docs here. It says step 2 at the bottom of your controller file, use a destructor method to reset the parent and child modules. Again, I'm going to just copy. I'm going to go right to the end of the class here. And I'm going to paste in. So this time you can see I'm saying function _destruct. I'm saying parent module is empty, child module is empty. Now in a minute I'll explain what this code actually does, but first of all I want to show you this thing working. So it says here step 3, just load your view file as normal. Okay, so if we save and refresh, there's our view file. It's not inside a template and everything works perfectly. So let me take just half a minute or whatever to explain what happened there. Inside the Trongate framework, in the engine folder, it's constantly trying to figure out what to load. What module should we load? What view file, etc. And in the engine folder, this is referred to as parent module, child module. Now, that happens in the background and usually we don't need to know about it. When we load a view file within a submodule, if we don't have this here, if we don't tell the framework, here's what I want you to count as the parent module, the framework is going to get lost. In fact, I'll take it out and I'll show you. And you'll see that we get errors. The framework has no clue where to look. So all we're doing with these two things is we're giving the framework a helping hand. And we're saying, hey framework, just to let you know, for the moment the parent module is this, the child module is that, and then the framework's going to say, I see what you mean. And it'll be fine. But once we've finished doing whatever we're going to do, we're basically saying, okay, framework, go back to normal. Parent module's empty, child module's empty. And in case you never knew, a constructor is a method that gets invoked the moment that a class gets loaded up. That's what this is. Or the moment a class has something that gets called, let's say. So this happens before this method runs. And a destruct is a little method that runs after a class has finished doing whatever it's doing. So we're simply adding two little bits, this construct and this destruct, and we're doing that simply so that the framework knows where everything is. That's all it is, okay? Now, this parent construct thing here is probably worthy of a mention. So let's imagine we're in display members, right? I can say hello. Here we are. Okay, do you see how we're still here? So let's imagine we're going to fetch a list of bands from the DB. We might say, in fact, I'll just say bands equals this, I'm going to call upon the model. I'm going to say get order by ID, and it's the bands table. Now if I say JSON bands, you may expect a nice little summary of the bands that we've got. But if we save and refresh, unfortunately we get another error, because sadly the framework doesn't know where this model file is. The framework is assuming that it's inside the bands folder, and under normal circumstances, or inside the bands controller, and under normal circumstances, the framework assumes that it's inside the Trongate class. So the framework is a little bit lost here. So if you plan on accessing the database or using any of the stuff that's actually directly being accessed from the Trongate framework, such as the model file, maybe form validation, stuff like that, in those instances, we have to add this line of code that says parent __ construct, which basically means, hey man, gonna use the stuff that's in the Trongate class. Now if we save this and refresh, now we have a gig and everything is perfect. Okay? So I think I'll take this out and we'll move on with our documentation here. The next thing that I'm going to show you is accessing submodules from other modules, from controllers and from views. I'll walk you through this. It's really easy. So let me go back to bands, and I'll go to bands, let's say manage. So bands / manage, okay? And this is where the action's going to kick off. Now, let's open up our bands controller file. Here it is here. And let's go down to manage. Where on earth is it? Here it is here. And anywhere you like, maybe here, we can say hello, a little die statement. And there you go, okay? So let's assume, in fact, you know what? Forget this manage nonsense. Let's go upstairs and we'll make a method called test. Alright, so echo hello. So if we go to bands / test, there it is, it says hello, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load a submodule from this controller file. So back over to the docs, just so that you can see that this has been explained. And all you have to do is really just 2 lines of code. You say this module, and you can see right here, we chuck in the parent with a hyphen. So the module is bands / band members. And then once you've done that, you can simply say this band members display members, like that. Save. And we're just gonna refresh. Now that's just a typo. I can feel it. So, yeah, there's a typo. See, I said colon instead of semicolon. So, here we go. And there it is. You can see that we're saying hello. So that's hello from the parent controller. And then this is our submodule. So that is loading a submodule from a controller file. And we can do that from any controller file. Doesn't have to be the parent or anything, you know. So we can load submodules very easily. And all you do is you say the parent module name, a little hyphen, and then apart from that, everything else is just normal. Now back over to the docs, we're making good progress here. I'm going to show you how to do this from a view file. So now I think is a good time to look at this manage page. So we'll go to bands/manage. Here we go. And so the goal now is to load display members, but we're going to call it not from a controller file, but from a view file. So let's go into views, manage, okay, and maybe we can go underneath where this flash data stuff is, round about here. So again, I'll show you the docs just so that you can see. So from views, it says submodules may be called from views by following the convention of referencing the parent followed by a hyphen. For example, cars-accessories/display. Well, that's easy. So if we echo, I'll make it a bit bigger. If we echo modules run, and we're going to be saying bands-band members /display members and save it. So now if we go back here and refresh, well, look at that. You can see that we're now loading the submodule from a view file. Pretty cool. Now I think that might be it. Yep, that's it as far as the documentation goes. But I am going to show you just a couple of other things very quickly before we finish. I want you to know that in Trongate, modules can contain anything. And when I say anything, I mean anything. Pictures, JavaScript, CSS, you name it. And you can even have all of that stuff contained within submodules. Let me give you a demonstration. Suppose we go into band members here, and we're going to create a new folder, and we'll call it assets. Okay? And inside assets, I'm going to have a folder called CSS and another folder called JS. So we are really deep inside this framework here. Now, inside CSS, I'm going to have a new file called members.css. And for this one, I'll simply say that if we have one of those li things, let's give it a background color of orange. And it's just so that we can see that this really does work. Inside the JS folder, I'll have a new file. I'll call it hello.js. And all this is going to do is we're going to say alert hello you. Little bit of JavaScript, okay? Now, do you agree that this assets folder is really deep inside the heart of the framework? I mean, it's inside a sub-module, which is inside a super module. It's pretty hardcore stuff, you know? So, let's head back to this display members page here, just on its own. So, the URL shown. And I'm going to show you how we can access those assets from the submodule. Now, you could add the following code to your template, or even directly from the view file. You could say link tab. Now I'm going to say base URL. And the way that we do this is we say, well, it's bands. We know that we're inside bands, right? So hyphen, then band members. But now we want to call the module assets trigger. So it's band members underscore module. Then I'm going to say CSS, then / members.css. Let's save and refresh. And look at that. It's fantasticola. And by the way, even if I go to this example here from a few minutes ago, it still works. Same goes for JavaScript. I'll just say script source equals, so it's going to be base URL bands hyphen band members module js hello.js. I'm going to save, and watch how when I refresh we're going to have a little alert window. There it is. Isn't that fantastic? Even on this example, there it is. And so the moral of the story is, you can have anything you want inside supermodules and submodules. Imagine it, films, audio clips, anything. JavaScript libraries, you name it. And so the goal here is that someday we can have a marketplace where you can download really sophisticated applications with one click, and everything is self-contained. Everything is truly modular. No more third-party libraries, no rewrite culture, no inter-version dependency shenanigans. And if you've watched this entire video from start to finish, I hope that you'll agree with me that supermodules and submodules are arguably the best feature of the entire Trongate ecosystem.